This was going to originally be 2 videos, but instead I'm going to make it 1 video. And I just want to read this on Facebook. There's a whole separate battle over gun control happening in America's churches. In the aftermath of the mass shooting in Buffalo that left 10 people dead, some religious leaders are calling on their fellow Christians to confront guns, America's relationship with God and guns. Reverend Peter Cook is one of those taking a stand. He represents 8 different denominations on the New York State Council of Churches. I think for the church, with a number of exceptions, because gun culture infuses Christianity, we need the strongest gun laws we can think of, says Reverend Cook. We don't think much of the Second Amendment. You know, others sounding the alarm include the Reverend Bob Schneck, a former anti-abortion activist who has shifted to support abortion rights. I support abortion also in certain situations because I see it. So I would like to know where he stands, where Reverend Rob Schneck stands on that. Be very interesting to hear him. And here's what he said about described about gun violence. He described gun violence as a life or death issue and argues that gun control should be a key part of the pro-life agenda. Interesting. I personally think fear. I personally think combating fear, and not having like gun control, is the solution. But we'll actually see where I stand on this particular issue as we read further. Churches, especially white evangelical churches, have largely ignored this question, I think, much to their own detriment and to the detriment of the people they're called to serve, Schneck says. Of course, there are many religious leaders who disagree with this idea and maintain that there's nothing antithetical about churches supporting gun rights. See, I support gun rights because you don't know. It's always good to be prepared for this for the situations when you can't, because people are people can be sometimes untrustworthy, and I'm one of those people that says that life and death is in how you use a tool, not in the fact that you use a tool. Like, there's always going to be that there's always going to be that issue where you're taking life, but also think about who you're taking life of, rather than the fact that you're taking life. You know, so let's see. In fact, some argue guns are integral to church operations. I mean, I don't know. 2 years ago, Grace Baptist Church in Troy, New York, infamously raffled off an AK-47 to members of their congregation to honor hunters and gun owners. Similarly, controversial pastor Greg Locke. Yeah, I actually watched a little bit of a video of him today, screaming about witches in the church, but pushing them out and whatnot. Greg Locke drew a direct connection between freedom of worship and freedom to carry in a recent sermon. Radicalization. So you're saying, so this guy is arguing in favor of radicalization and the right to enforce is what some people would probably see it as. I really don't know. But from what I've seen of this Greg Locke, he kind of seems like a radicalized dude. Locke challenged anyone seeking to silence his congregation. If you try to impede on our First Amendment right, our boys will meet you at the door of this tent with our Second Amendment right. Oh, that does sound like a threat. I remember when the 8-bit guy, one of these retro computer enthusiasts, did a video which got his channel taken down, where he made a similar kind of sounding threat. Like, this sounds like a polarizing. This is a This is what polarization is. I mean, when people either these people like Greg Cook, either he's polarized, extremely polarized, or he's a polarizer. He's not a man that I would take their word. At face value. So let's see what we got here. Let's see what my thoughts are on this. From a metaphysician's point of view, it is freedom that it is the absence of fear. I've said this before. Depolarization, which is the path to the absolute. Fear is the opposite of transcendence, i.e. wisdom. Morality serves in the favor of fear. Because, people who are advocating for gun laws, that we need to have stricter gun laws, aren't really solving the actual issue. The real issue at hand is fear. And really fear is what we need to be tackling. Fear is the opposite of transcendence, i.e. wisdom. Morality serves in favor of fear. What a Christian can take from all this is that he who uses fear and violence can't possibly be an apostle of the Christ. So, that's one of the things that, even though God uses fear and violence, that's something that Christians really should think about. Is think about what it says about fear, that Satan is the author of fear, and if he can make you fearful, he can get you to be in a moment of weakness. Freedom is the absence of fear, not the perpetuation of fear. I've said this before on my channel. There will be no freedom as long as people give into perpetuations of fear. When a man is a slave to fear, he thereby falls short, and to fall short is nothing more than failure to perform one's duties. Well, that's kind of what sin is. That's the definition. The very definition of sin is the failure to perform one's duties. When you think about it, and people got to really realize. People have to realize this. And a lot of these people, we get so polarized by this nonsense and threaten people thinking that this is the right thing to do, you guys got to really rethink your position on this. You know, I'm not really gonna. I'm not. I'm one of those people who stands by the Second Amendment. You know, I find that the better solution here is to fight fear. Is to fight fear, and that's how you fight a lot of this gun violence, a lot of the potential gun violence, because most of it is either fear or it says someone's not right in the head. You know, and I'm not saying that they have mental health issues, but something kind of got dislodged, because no normal human being would actually act in a violent way unless they were provoked to do so. And that is one of the things that I've found to be relatively true.